All right, Mark, so we're at your Richmond location. I'm surprised to see this one here, actually. When I showed up, I didn't
So was I.
Yes, true. I guess it's one of those, oh, hey.
It just showed up one day.
Well, that was not according to plan. You weren't told it was coming, were you?
No,
Okay.
no. I had a couple other cars that were coming up that needed to be detailed and cleaned, and we started moving stuff off the truck, and I'm looking. I'm like, where's that one going? No. He sent it up for you to. So it came up to be dry ice cleaned. It was just in the museum in Washington at LeMay, and he just wanted to go back over it again and make sure that it was good.
Okay, yeah, so it was at the Saleen display out west.
This car number 8, was Liz Saleen's driver. I believe they also used this car for one of the posters. It was also the McDonald's giveaway car. Remember in the 90s, they used to do the Monopoly game?
Oh, yeah.
And you'd go in and eat, all the
Draw
McDonald's to get the little
off.
things.
Yeah.
Well, they used this car for all the press photos and everything else, and they called this the giveaway car. I'm not sure they actually gave this car away, but this was the car that was actually used to do the promotion.
Oh, okay, so it was a press car in a sense.
It was a press car. Anything that's car 10 or under is typically an internal car.
Right.
And Liz and Steve each had cars to drive, and this was her driver. She drove this car.
It does show its typical wear of that. I mean, how many miles are on it?
It's got 61,000 miles on it.
All right.
So it's not the typical Performance Autosport Collection, super low mileage, in the wrapper kind of car, but the history was so unique we had to add it to the collection.
Right, and it's not, and it is a 95.
Correct. And what else?
So convertible, speedster.
And it's not supercharged.
Oh yeah, well that's what I was leading into that.
That's the other thing that's crazy. 99% of the cars that we have in the collection are supercharged. And we typically don't buy the non-blower cars because we want the higher horsepower cars. But this car was so unique that we just were like, you know what, we've got to buy this
Well,
car.
I will say this, it being a kind of a press car being used out in public, and
you drove this, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I drove this 10, 11, 12 years ago under previous ownership, and it's got a ringer of a motor. We'll just say that.
It's
Second
got a little
gear,
cam chop to it, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely neat.
And it's one that when you're driving it, you can just feel like the 351s are torquey anyways, but this one's definitely got some power to it over and above being naturally aspirated, which leads to another question, like 94, 95s weren't all supercharged.
No, but most people think they were, and that's a question that we get asked all the time, or you say it's not supercharged. Well, what happened? Did they forget to put the blower on it? And it's because when they sent the cars to the magazines, that's what they wanted to send were the blower cars because the numbers were great, the performance was unbelievable, and it would highlight Saleen's abilities a lot more than a normally aspirated car would.
There was a point when the supercharger became standard on the S351.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 96 is when OBD2 came in, and they were going to do all the cars were blower cars, and you couldn't get it without the blower. But I want to say they made 3 cars in 96 that weren't supercharged.
Right.
I don't know why. Maybe they were orders from 95 that carried over. But remember, the other thing that's unique about the 94 and 95 Saleens were they were all 351s.
Right.
You could not get a 302.
Right.
Okay.
To
Yes.
that, with questions that people come in
all the time.
Hey, this is a 5-liter GT, is it a Saleen because it has a ground effect skid and wheels? No, it is not. There is not a 302 made in 94 and 95 at all. So that's to answer any questions about legitimacy. If it's a 302 based, unless someone has pulled the motor out because something happened to the 351 and they threw a 302 in it for whatever reason, just do your research on that. So that's kind of bring that up because I've actually been asked that. I know Mark has.
Well, the other question I get asked, believe it or not, is are they all manuals? And it's like, yeah, because so many people today, when we were growing up, I mean, everything was a stick.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people today that can't drive a manual transmission.
Yep.
So that's another tell if you find one of these cars and it has an automatic in it, it wasn't built that way from Saleen. So they all had a Tremec transmission in it.
Yeah.
And these cars were made possible because of what?
I'm going to assume the 95R.
Correct. Because it cost about $1 million to certify a car. Okay.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
No, but Steve had the insight to look and go, hey, we can put a 351 in our cars because Ford spent all the money and time engineering the 351. And so basically that's what enabled Saleen to build an S351.
Well, and to timing of that, you consider, I know it's a 95R and there are 94s. Ford is, we'll just say this, the year we're working on this video, they are already working 3 years ahead of time on products. So that had already been developed and EPA certified by 94 for them to go into the production in 95, which actually did happen in the 94 like calendar year. The model year runs different. Your production starts in 94 for the 95 model year through the summer of 95. But anyway, so digressing. This car, it has a myriad of options on it for S351s of that time.
Right.
Because not everything on this car was standard.
No, not at all. You would think for the money these cars cost, it would sort of be, a cookie cutter, this is what you get. But you could still customize the car. You could get chrome wheels. This obviously has silver wheels.
Right.
The 13-inch brakes were an upgrade. And then this car's also got the 10-inch rear wheels, which was kind of rare back then, and the carbon hood. It does not have the gauges on the top of the dash, which you could get the gauge pod, even if it wasn't a blower car. It would just wouldn't have the boost and vacuum gauge in it.
Right.
You could get leather Recaros.
Okay.
The cars did come standard with Recaro seats.
Okay.
And then this car is a speedster, but since it sort of arrived, there was no reason to bring the speedster cover with it, because whenever you store a convertible or ship a convertible, you need to have the top up. Because if you leave the top down, you're going to have a hell of a time getting it to attach later, and the top shrinks, and you end up getting with weird folds and everything.
Yeah.
So the car was in the warehouse with the top up.
Recaro was pretty much used. The seat brand was used all the way through 99 in the 351s, but there was a change in the model of seat because
Recaro changed it.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
I mean, really, the car itself with the story was just so unique. We could not do a video on this. It's just
and we had to move it anyway, so we figured, this one's the last one in the shop. Let's do a video of this.
This is way cool.
It's neat. Yeah, I mean, it's just a cool car, and it's neat that it was part of the Saleen family, and it had some promotion. And we were honored that Steve actually called us, and he borrowed 2 of our cars to put in the museum at LeMay.
Okay.
And again, this car sat up there for about a year and a half, and we sort of wanted to look at it, make sure we changed the fuel in it, drive it a little bit, and then go through and clean it again, and then put it back in hibernation.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you being here. I appreciate you coming down and shooting some of these videos, because people get asked all the time, what cars do you have in the collection and what is the history? And it's nothing like having a virtual museum that people can watch.
Thanks for letting us do this.
Oh,
Mark.
anytime, Bob.
Peace out, guys and gals.
I think that was better than the first one.
I think so too.
I think there's more stuff that you can pull out of this one